Hello everyone, my name is Terra, and let's waste no time and get into this one. So what makes a great Fire Emblem character? I don't know. I like him because I do. I'm going to go through every game, starting from FE4, and I am excited. But first, no Lords.
No, unacceptable.
Lords are far too easy to pick, especially in games like Three Houses, where I am counting Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude. And there is some conflict to what actually counts as a Lord, as some are obvious, you know, Crom's a Lord, but is Robin? Lucina? I would say a tactful yes, so I won't be including them on this list. Genealogy of the Holy War is not one of the more familiar Fire Emblem games, but it does have a strong cast, even from just one playthrough, and in saying that, I would posit Ares as my favourite. I've always found him an interesting character who stood out as fairly unique, mainly because he's a child unit, not from a playable Gen 1 unit, which makes him pretty unique, and I think he's the only one of that, but feel free to fact check me there. Playing Faye for years beforehand, I thought Eldigan was playable in Genealogy, but to my surprise he wasn't, which did bum me out a bit, but seeing Ares was playable was really cool. And you know, I've always had a thing for edgy characters, and he really does fit that box quite nicely too. And gameplay wise, as a filthy casual with zero taste, I remember Ares being very strong, but I don't know, maybe he sucks, I only played the game once, but he was really good in my experience, and he's a cavalry unit, which in Genealogy basically means he's perfect. And I can always admire men who can get some hot piece of ass. Yeah, Lean and Ares are basically a thing, and for the sake of monetization, I can't say what I would want to, but if I was locked in a room with Lean for an hour, God help me.
Look, Pim, I know it's our job to help this guy and everything, but I think this guy's a lost cause.
Sorry, but I really let a tough guy have a soft spot for someone, and Ares trying to see the truth and make better decisions unlike his pretty dumb father is a trait and a character which I think works pretty well.
Ares has been approved by the League of Hamsters.
Now, Thracia 776. I hate Thracia, I think it's bad. I had some hate on my opinions on Thracia in the past, but I will stand by them till my dying breath. And one issue I personally had with Thracia is that the cast is boring. You know, Genealogy managed to have a fairly memorable cast, but Thracia, the cast is huge and really boring and dull. I mean, just look at this screen and list me half of their names. Actually, don't do that. I know somebody will, so just save it. But if I had to pick one of these guys, I'm picking Sarah. And I feel a bit wrong for this one, because I'm aiming to highlight some of my favourite non-lords, and both Ares and Sarah are kind of like secondary or tertiary main characters, but in games I'm less familiar with, I will naturally bond with characters with a little bit more going on plot-wise. And Sarah is cool. Thracia is a very hard game, and even with save states, it made me want to kill. Wait, I can't say that. YouTube's going to demonetize me. It made me want to shoot my. But I actually really like Sarah. She was my golden girl when I played the game. The ultimate dodge tank with some crazy nuking ability. I actually like Sarah for her gameplay more than her character, but I do like her character too. Sassy, quiet, and mentally troubled. The way I like them. She has a great design. I'm in a game where character design was clearly as coherent as a homeless man taking a shit on the floor. Jesus Christ, I'm gonna get slewed for this. Guys, I am exaggerating to be funny. Please don't hurt me. I know how some of the Kaga fans are. Please have mercy. And Sarah has the distinct honour of using the Kia staff, essential for freeing Evil, aka Leaf's mommy. And I think for any girl who can fix mommy issues lands a special place in my heart. This was possibly the worst character summary I could have ever written, but we're moving on to Binding Blade now. Binding Blade, I love this one, and I think it has one of the strongest FE casts in the entire series. A mix of important, semi-important, and nobody characters that embody a realistic but still fun and fantasy army. I'm just so pissed off I can't pick Roy though. God, he's so cool and such a good unit. What a shame. Therefore, my pick for Binding Blade is the legend himself, Ogier, and I know what you're thinking, I'm joking, but I'm actually not, I'm dead serious. I think Ogier sums up my favourite element of Binding Blade and represents the game as a whole. But first, let's discuss the elephant in the room. Ogier is a bad unit, and I love that. Binding Blade is a game which has a lot of busted units and a lot of trash units, and many people always say, use Rutger, use Melody, use Clarine, and Ogier might just be one of the worst units in the entire game. But that's why I love him. He's irrelevant but fun to build, and I admit I enjoy building a unit from basically nothing, and Ogier has that fun, let's build a unit from the ground up appeal. And his irrelevance is more than his suckiness. His design is bland and his character is too. He's just a poor village boy who signed up to war for money. It's not really that enlightening. But remember, I said I liked Binding Blade's cast for its fantasy blandness, and Ogier is emblematic of this. Bad gameplay, boring design, boring character, aka an underrated gem. And his supports are hilarious. His Gwendolyn support is so bad. It might be the worst Fire Emblem support I've ever read. Binding Blade has some mid supports, but it's just the two talking about getting stronger, and that's it. It's so nothing happens, and that's why I love it. And fun fact, my last playthrough I used both of them, and it was hilarious. And by the way, Ogier turned out really, really good. Gwendolyn, not really, but I tried. The Lauren support has him practically drooling over her, and then she says she'll murder him, and I think he's into it, and I don't blame the guy, but fair warning Ogier, I think she's 14 bro. But yeah, sucky unit, hipster pick, average dude, and wants the underage girl. What could be more relatable? And for the sake of a knock at the door in the middle of the night, that last part, what a joke. Also, why am I so down bad in this video? Jesus Christ. FE7 on the Blazing Blade has a noticeably weaker cast, but I feel I could have picked at least 3 or 4 units from Binding Blade over one from FE7, but we have to pick one from FE7. I was gonna say Nino because I actually really like her. Great design, and I like how she emphasizes with Sophia, but Nino felt way too Lord adjacent to me. It felt cheating. So after much deliberation, I went with Farina, because I really like Farina, and I've always had a soft spot for her, mainly because she's deeply relatable, very arrogant, and money obsessed.
Hello, I like money.
Farina, as the girls call her, is brat, but for me, I'm not using that fucking term, so she's a queen, and I can't lie, she's pretty attractive. I'm still down bad, shut up. Aside from her spunk and charm, I love her rarity. She's like a gem, found only in Hector mode, and costing you a small fortune to recruit her, and if there's one thing I love more than money, it's rarity.
Hello, I like money.
But this girl's worth it. I've used her at least twice, and I found her exceptional on both times, much better than her lame sisters. And since she's a Hector mode recruit, I've always found she had terrific banter with Hector and has the same blue hair as Hector, and so I've always shipped with Hector. And look, if it isn't obvious, I clearly have a thing for Farina, but as a red-blooded male, I see nothing wrong with that. Sacred Stones also has a great cast, and picking one was tough here. And I'm going to give a quick shout out here to some strong favourites, mainly Tana and Dosler, whom I love dearly, but we're back to mercenaries for this, because Garrick is my man. Garrick is cool, and I like cool. Garrick has this raw charisma, it really stands out. I hate to bring up women again, bit of running theme in this video, but his relationship with Tefes is weirdly inspiring. Garrick is this hot, sexy alpha male in every sense of the word, and Tefes is his passionate, sexy lover who's supporting her younger brother at the same time. Couple goals. Actually, scrap that, people goals, these two. The way he commands his men and his woman. God, I wish I was him. Aside from his inspirational qualities, he has a striking design with a great slash over his face, proving his manly qualities, and he is a very capable unit gameplay-wise, but Sacred Stones is a game that probably a 3-year-old could beat, so that's not really saying much, but he's good, even by Sacred Stone standards. But for me, I do have to emphasise that admirable personality. He's like a wise, cool father figure, which is seen in his supports with Ross and him seeing through Joshua's cheating tricks. Some may even call him a bit too good, but I think it works because of that scar, being a reminder of the time where he got cocky and nearly died, which taught him a valuable lesson. I really like Garrick. I think he's very cool. But now, possibly the hardest part of this video, Path of Radiance, is possibly one of the best casts in the entire series. Bar my beloved Fates, of course, so picking one unit was really hard, downright cruel in fact. Honourable mentions, I love Shinon so much. Edgelord with a soft spot for Rolf, who is also another character I adore. He's so cute and I like his shade of green. Brom is a character I've always loved as well, probably because no one mentions him and I like an underdog, and his Winnie the Pooh face.
Looks like it's time to
For me, it's between Makalov and Tormod, and I'm going with Tormod. And I love both of these guys for the same reason, pretty much, is they're weird. Makalov is a pink-haired loser who's really funny and likable, but this is about Tormod, so budge over. Tormod is a character I am deeply passionate about for very little reason. Unlike the rest of this list, I have no reason for really liking him so much, I just do. Sometimes it's just a unit you like and you can't quite figure out why. I think though it's a couple things. One, I like the design. He has this sinister but mischievous look in Path of Radiance and has a real glow up in Radiant Dawn, and while this is a Path of Radiance entry, I love the dialogue he has in Radiant Dawn about Ike and Soph getting jacked while he hasn't. But also, he's really funny with just this general concept. He's a human Beorc raised in the desert with Lagoos, so he's learned to run fast to keep up with them, and so he has celerity, which increases his movement by 2 whole points, which makes him really fun to use, zooming across a map. He's also a bit of an Ogier again, being not as bad, but still a pretty outclassed unit who's fun to train, especially with his extra movement. But I feel I like him most for his underlying character, which appears to be an extroverted, feisty, happy kid, but inside, he's kinda lonely, and his only friend's a goddamn tiger. In his support with Soph, he awkwardly tries to be Soph's friend because Muarim is worried about him not socialising, and that's so bloody sweet, man. I really hate this word. But the kid's got charm. But he's got charm, and I like his glow up. Only negative part, he does seem a bit woke. Definitely a part of the Guardian reading, tofu eating, wokerati. Wait, he likes meat though. So wait, woke and meat? Who is this guy? Radiant Dawn. When examining only the new Radiant Dawn characters, we realise that they all suck. I'm dead serious. Unless you are plot important, then you are basically a nobody. And for this list, I can't have Micaiah, or Soph, or Sanaki, and those last two are basically Lord adjacent, so I wouldn't want to include them anyway. So, what do I pick? What am I supposed to pick? Meg?
Shut up, Meg.
I'm not picking Meg.
Shut up,
I'm not
Meg.
picking Laura. These are So I'm cheating again to highlight one of my favourite Fire Emblem characters, who is probably too plot important to include, but oh well, it's Peleus. I love Peleus. First of all, the design. One of my favourite Fire Emblem designs in the series. The striking hair colour, his timid expression, his conservative attire. The design is perfect for portraying exactly who Peleus is. Second, I love the story. The weak prince who signs a blood contract out of fear, dooming his people, but he still remains a sympathetic character for his position of stature that he never wanted, or his overbearing mother. Even the way he offers to kill himself is noble in trying to do the best for his people. And remember when I said I loved Farina for her rarity? Yeah, it's the same thing again. Peleus is playable only in a second playthrough, which makes him feel exclusive, and he is the only dark mage in the entire game, which is like so cool. And on top of that, he has some of the best battle dialogue in this game, with Lacane especially, who rightfully needs a slap in the face. And I think for me, it goes back to that, being relatable, because I too am timid, can
Conjure dark magic.
and have tried to kill myself. I can't say that. Like and subscribe for part 2, please, I need money.